time now for this week's Political Spotlight. Now, it's meant to be a celebration of Caribbean culture, steel bands, carnival, processions and sequin costumes for adults and children alike. It should be the perfect way to spend a bank holiday weekend. What am I talking about? Yes, the Notting Hill Carnival, or Notting Hill Carnage, as I like to call it. However, the annual festival has turned into anything but a joyous occasion. The carnival has actually turned into a festival of violence and chaos. And this year alone, 8 men were stabbed, 2 remaining in intensive care. More than 75 police officers were attacked. Some punched and kicked. 1 was sexually assaulted. 6 officers were bitten and others were urinated on from upstairs windows. I mean, you know, do you really want to go? All in all, 300 people were arrested for sexual offences and possession of drugs and dangerous weapons. Metropolitan Police Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley said, "It is an amazing community event. We will be reviewing what's gone on with the organisers and looking at what more can be done to improve safety." But you've got 1 million people there turning up and having a fantastic time. Labour's David Lammy also defended the event, saying London has been shaped in many ways by Black and Caribbean culture and heritage, and there is no greater celebration of this than Notting Hill Carnival. But I think what was originally intended... I'm sorry, I can't help laughing. Really? That's not how it goes where I'm from, and in my household, around my friends and family. But I think what was originally intended to be a joyous weekend of Caribbean festivities has become a victim of its own success and has actually turned into a very dangerous and unsafe environment. Joining me now is former police detective Peter Bleksley. Peter, thank you very much for joining me. We're going to talk about this and all things. But let's start with Notting Hill Carnival. How difficult is it to police such an event like that?
Well, firstly, I think I ought to mention 21-year-old Takayo Nembard, who was murdered at the Notting Hill Carnival last year, in 2022. That murder remains unsolved. In fact, in the week before this carnival, Crime Stoppers have offered a £20,000 reward for information, leading to the arrest and conviction of those who were responsible for murdering that young man at the carnival last year. And it's largely been forgotten, and I make no apology for reminding people that as well as the orgy of violence that we had this year, there is the outstanding murder from last year. Clearly, this is unacceptable. Many police officers dread going to police the Notting Hill Carnival because they know there will be violence. There's a pretty strong likelihood that they or their colleagues will be assaulted, and we saw that again this year, yet again. I think, in principle and in the main, it is a joyous occasion for people to go to and to enjoy. And largely on the Sunday, when it's sort of titled Children's Day, things appear to be a lot more peaceful. But it always descends
every year,
into violence on the Monday. Blood is spilt. People are stabbed. People get very severely hurt. And there must be solutions.
Well, I mean, this year we had the added bonus of people running around openly with these zombie knives, which, you know, that hasn't been seen normally. Normally somebody gets stabbed, you hear about it, but the perpetrator hides. There were scenes of people blazonly waving these knives around like a sign as some sort of, I don't know, like some sort of prize, and people's faces fearful in the background. What is happening? What has gone wrong? Yes,
there were those scenes and those photographs splashed all across the newspapers, and I, of course, saw them. And back in the day, I was a firearms officer. I had a pink ticket, as they were called in those days, tucked in my back pocket. And if I needed a gun, I could book one out. And had there been circumstances such as that in which I was present and I had a gun, that weapon would most certainly have been drawn and serious consideration given as to whether I needed to pull the trigger or not.
But you've got people around you, though. I mean, if anything goes wrong, you could end up...
Absolutely. And I'm hypothesising about a situation which will, of course, never happen now because I'm long since retired. But I'm talking about the seriousness of that criminality and somebody armed with such a weapon, clearly intent on hurting someone. There needs to be some sort of intervention in that situation. And when we're talking about intervention and possible answers, Hyde Park is about 2 miles from Notting Hill. It's a short couple of stops on the Central Line, it really is. And Hyde Park has hosted many challenging events over the years. The Rolling Stones have played there. Robbie Williams has played there. Kylie Minogue, everybody's played Hyde Park. And, of course, every year it hosts an event which is sometimes frowned upon, but it is the celebration of cannabis event, when loads of stoners rock up there, probably talk about modern jazz and eat lots of Maltesers, as they indulge in their chosen drug of choice. So Hyde Park is very much used to hosting events with challenges. It's a huge park.
They say that what's the capacity? 90,000, or was it 90 or 900,000? But 90,000, which is a lot smaller than Carnival, is what people might argue.
Yes, indeed. But with the numbers that attend Carnival, not everybody goes there and stays there all day.
I see. I get it. Yeah.
Perhaps windows of opportunity could be created, ticketed windows of people going, and entry and exit could be managed.
Bag searches, the zombie knives.
All of those sort of things. Metal detecting arches being deployed and the such like. And I can probably hear people opposed to this screaming and shouting as I speak, but perhaps it ought to be explored, because so much of Notting Hill creates kind of rat runs and places to escape under the Westway. People come in, indulge in this criminality. They're balaclavaed up. They look like what they are, which is lawless hoodlums. They commit these crimes, people get hurt, and they disappear, as is borne out by the murder last year of 21-year-old Takayo.
Well, I had somebody arguing with me saying, well, Creamfield has more arrests per head. And I was like, well, Creamfield is an enclosed venue. And if a criminal does something at Carnival, they can run off and there's no way of them getting out. If Carnival was enclosed and this kind of lawlessness was happening, the people would have been caught and arrested and the numbers would be a lot higher. Now, I'm with you on that. I think they should keep Carnival, but I think it should move. I think it should be in a venue that can be policed. But I want to briefly touch on Suella Braverman's comments about wokery within policing. Do you agree with her that actually a lot of it has lost its way and that now this woke is affecting the effectiveness of the police?
Policing has lost its way in many regards. Some bits of it are still really effective, which would be borne out by the fact that our prisons are full. So they're good at doing some stuff. But that public-facing stuff, that front-facing stuff that people see and the imagery has really got quite out of hand. The police uniform should be a sacrosanct symbol of impartiality. There shouldn't be badges and epaulets linking themselves or showing some allegiance to anything. In the unlikely event that I ruled the policing world, I wouldn't even allow officers to wear a poppy, because I know a poppy's not allegiance, it's remembrance, but in this age of white poppies, where does it start, where does it end? And so I completely agree with much of the sentiments that she laid out in her letter to the Chief of the Police Inspectorate, and let's hope we can get a police force that actually realises what it's there for, what it should do, and how it should serve the public.
Well, listen, Peter Bleksley, it's always a pleasure. Good to talk to you.